All right, y'all, we are back at it again at the $1 Million Pool. This week, we get more precise. The concrete cutting crew is back on site, and we are out prepping and cutting into a 12-foot wide by 10-foot tall serious foundation wall that also acts as a retaining wall, and then excavating the whole new stairwell and the new elevator and elevator pit. The stakes are high. There is room for error. There is danger in making a cut like this. Let's get into the video. Quick recap from the last video. We had a new crew on site who did some major excavating and a huge amount of demolition. We demoed some major site walls on the site, and then we cut down a 50-foot wide wall from 8 feet down to 4 feet, toppled it over, hauled everything off. We hauled something like over 10 truckloads of rock, earth, stone, and concrete. We prevented a cave-in by doing some shoring. We had our framers out to do some demolition and some bracing and supports while we got ready to take down the wall this week. Since we left off, we had to dig, and continue digging. We had to dig out this area for two reasons. The first being we had to get down to the level of our basement level. So we had to get all the way down there, but then we had to dig out the whole pit so that we could fully topple this wall over. This is a 13-foot long by 16-foot wide rectangle that's 11 feet deep. It's an absolutely silly amount of earth that needs to get moved. So you see the guys hammering, digging, excavating and removing, and then rinse and repeat over and over and over. And as we're going down, we're adding more shoring, more bracing. We're making sure that we're safe from the cave-in. They're doing everything that's necessary to get us all the way down to the level that we need to be at. While the guys are digging and excavating kind of the back half of the pit away from the wall, we have the concrete cutting crew out here making some major cuts. You'll see the first cut that they make is a cut as low as possible to the ground level, all the way across the whole width of the section of wall that we need to remove. As you can imagine, when you're cutting through an 18-inch deep concrete wall, these saws just aren't slicing through this like butter. This is precision, it's safety, it's making sure that you're making the right cut at the right time, and honestly, it is backed by years and years of experience. Our operator here has about 25 years of experience in the field. And just to put this in reference, this saw is anywhere from about $20,000 to $30,000 when you look at all the rails and parts and the motor itself. Each one of these blades is like $3 to $5 grand. I mean, these things are no joke. You cannot just have a novice doing this. These guys are pros. When you're doing things like concrete cutting and coring, just pick a big company. There's multiple, and all they do is cut concrete, core concrete, make huge holes. These guys come out, knock it out, then they're gone. Now that the wall is cut widthwise, horizontally at the bottom, it's time to make a series of vertical cuts. The first cut is going to be right at the far edge of our elevator pit. This clip right here is slowed down to 20% of its original speed, just so you can see how powerful this saw is and how dangerous the work is going on. So this wall is going to have 3 total vertical cuts. Obviously, there's going to be one on each far end and then one down the middle. And why they're doing this in 2 halves is because we do not want to exceed the load capacity of the excavator. If we just cut out the whole wall and the excavator was pulling it out and something happened and that wall just fell down, it could literally pull the whole excavator into this pit. So we cut this wall into sections that are more manageable to where the excavator definitely has enough power to deal with this wall as it's coming out. Just again, ensuring safety, just efficiency, and making sure that everything runs smoothly. Now the first cut is done. Time to rinse and repeat for 2 more cuts.
So far we've got damn near all the elevator and stairwell excavation done. Kind of the next step is to take out these existing, it was almost like a retaining wall. There actually wasn't much structural element to it for the house. But we have long cuts down below where we've kind of bisected this existing wall. We had some management ideas on how to safely bring this down. We've obviously done some like temporary shoring here with all these kind of 2x holding the wall above, as well as some temporary framing down below. One of the concerns that we had with taking out this wall was when we take it out, how are we going to, you know, make sure that this is safely managed? And our excavation contractor came up with this really good idea to essentially attach, we have these anchor bolts that were drilled into the system, into the existing wall, and tie a chain around it. That way we can control the fall. Just like you would like when you're cutting a tree down, we essentially have this chain, we'll attach it to the excavator bucket and then just kind of pull the wall with it. But on the inside, we have the Mini X. We're gonna use the Mini X bucket at the low side of the wall to keep the wall from like kicking inside the house. So we'll have pressure on the bottom of the wall, plus tension from the top, and this thing should just fall right into this opening. And then that'll allow excavation contractor just to take the chipping hammer and start breaking it up inside the pit. That way we're not messing with the house. Let's get to it. So the excavator just dropped this bucket off. So the only thing that we have attached now is just the shackle, which is that kind of like wing hanging from the top. And we're gonna use that shackle to attach to our chain on the wall as discussed. Where we had the two cuts, we had these, what we call unistrut. It's a very common building material. It's really just like a piece of galvanized metal that's slotted. And we had that connecting the two pieces of the wall. So our cut's right here, and we had some unistrut. You can see here on either side of the cut with some anchor bolts. That was just kind of temporarily holding the wall together. And that way they weren't just like standing and floating on their own. So we're pulling out the unistrut, basically cutting the wall free from the adjacent wall. And you can see we have that on the other side here as well. So that's on this side we have the existing wall that's to remain, and then here's our kind of middle portion. But we're gonna leave that intact for now. That way we can just pull out this section. Derek's been busy out here, had a lot of work.
Good?
Pretty good footage, so. Shout out to the videographer, full time out here. He's the first one on site this morning. That's about as clean as it gets, folks.
Remember, this is a 10,000 pound wall. Precision and safety are of paramount importance. We set up, we get the all clear, and now it's time to pull it down. Unsurprisingly, the wall comes down without a problem, because that's how we do, baby. Now we're lining up to get the bigger section of wall out.
So, first section of the wall down, super clean. The next portion is they're gonna kind of move this out of the way, and then they need to readjust the Mini X bucket so it's now below the second piece of this wall here. You can see how clean the cut was. You know, it didn't even topple into the, you know, towards the house like we considered. Always good to have a backup with the excavator bucket or some kind of redundant system. We use that a lot. So, really good plan here. You're gonna stabilize this right now, yeah, before he cuts the unistrut, yeah? So we're actually not gonna use the chain and shackle on this one. The wall's already pretty free. So it's going to stabilize the wall with this bucket. And then we're going to cut loose the unistrut from the outside first and then the inside. That way all the crew is basically free of the fall and let this go. Cool, so we got a little down pressure. His teeth are wrapped around the existing rebar. Keep this thing stabilized for the time being. Got to get the unistrut on the inside so the walls are free. All right, Mini X is in place. It's cut free from the existing walls. Give this thing a little nudge, and here it goes. That looks like we have some existing rebar that's connected.
Right there? A little bit, yeah.
So we'll have to get the quickie saw up here and cut some rebar. Is it concrete or is it rebar?
Probably both.
Oh. As we all know in construction, things don't always go according to plan. The first half of this plan went really well. We have the first cut of the wall in the hole, super clean, super smooth. Yeah, you know, it's exactly how we drew it up, and super safe, and couldn't ask for anything better. On the second cut, we are kind of being held up right now. You can hear the chipping hammers going in the background. which is always a fun sign. At the top of the existing wall, we actually have some floor trusses that we couldn't totally brace around with our temporary bracing. And so the saw wasn't able to go all the way from the ground to the top. They had to stop about, you know, maybe 6 inches short of the top because of an existing truss. There's a slight piece of concrete and rebar that's just kind of barely keeping these things together right at the top. It's always good to slow down in moments like this. You know, you don't want to just bang your head against the wall because it end up messing something up even more. So we took a second, identified the issue, and just like anything, we just have to be patient and do it the right way.
Now you will see that they're using the excavator bucket to hold that wall in place while they're chipping out that remaining portion connecting the wall. They were already up there with the excavator and they just determined, man, if we just pull on this thing a little bit, it's gonna come toppling down, and that's exactly what happened. Now, mind you, this is 15,000 pounds toppling over on the ground. I know on the video it looks pretty mild, and honestly, that's exactly how it should look. That's why we have the pros doing these cuts and toppling over this walls, and it went on without a hitch. Now that the walls are down, we take the big daddy chipping hammer, we put it on the big X, and we're just busting up these walls so that we can go ahead, scoop it out, bring it out to the front, haul it off. Now that we have the wall out and a large portion of this whole area excavated, we got to get a lot more precise. And this takes a tandem of the big X and the mini X, where the big X is just doing some damage, knocking stuff out, and then the mini X is coming with that thin bucket. It's getting out the corners, it's digging deeper for the grade beams that are gonna make up the new foundation. The mini X is helping dig out the sump pit under the elevator where pumps will go, so that if water ever gets down there, it'll get pumped out. Then you're gonna see the mini X is loading up a lot of the stuff that the big X is breaking up, and then it's loading up the big X's bucket so that they can bring it out and haul it off. To put this in perspective, just this task takes about 2 full days. I mean, it is just mind-blowing how much work and excavation and demolition is really going on here day in and day out. All right, now that the new stairwell and elevator pit are both dug out, we need to go back to the old patio and break up a bunch more of this rock and material to get prepared for the crazy excavation that we're gonna do for the supercar garage. This is nearly 14 feet of mostly solid rock that we're gonna have to excavate back about 24 feet. This is gonna be the next big task that we have, and you know we'll be capturing it on video. That's where we currently are with the $1 million pool after this past week. Derek, our videographer, is actually going out of town next week. I can't believe it. I'm letting him out of his cage, but he needs to breathe a little bit. I couldn't even get through that with a straight face. So you can expect to see an update on the $1 million pool in 2 weeks from now. But in the meantime, next week, we're gonna have 2 videos coming out. The first being a conversation where I sit down with my new project manager, Grant, and we have a discussion on school versus field training. I did not go to school for construction. Grant went a little bit more of a traditional route. In case you're wondering, which should I do, school or not? And for Friday's video, I am passing the camera off to Wes, our FNG, the freaking new guy. He's 20 years old, he's fresh out of college. He literally hit me up on Instagram and just wondered, how can I get into construction? And I'm like, man, we're kind of looking for a new guy that we can just beat up, put to any task we want, and really train them in our way. So I think this is a very unique perspective, especially for those of you that are very green to construction. We have Wes, and he's gonna give his point of view of a concrete pour for stage 2 over at the Zen Den. And I really put this guy to the test. We have rebar that is not correct for our peers that I said, Wes, you have to get this right today. Then we're just having him walk around the site, kind of give his point of view to help enlighten you guys how your experience would be as a new guy in construction, knowing next to nothing. As always, thank y'all so much for watching. The channel is growing and I'm seeing so many familiar names in the comments, and I just can't express to y'all how much it means to me. I love you guys. We are going to continue to put everything into this channel. We have so many freaking projects that are just stellar, that are on the sidelines in design. And once we tear into them, we're gonna try to put out multiple videos a week of all the awesome stuff we have going on. So hang in there. I will see y'all in the next one. Take it easy.